you give me the news? I got a bad case of loving you.
Thank you. Please. Only episode 5. Welcome to Supercoach Doctor. Thanks. Enormous response to episode 4.
Fantastic.
Sort of. Episode 1's getting a few more hits, and away we go again with another episode. NAB Cup well underway, and 6 more teams to finish off the 18 teams, and a bit of info for you just about to come up. Facebook.
Oh, Facebook, yeah.
Yep.
Get on Facebook, because that's where it all happens. That's where you can talk to us directly, get an immediate response to any of your questions. And just now, on Facebook, I was the first to go with the Mark Lacroix injury.
Very good call.
Some newspapers were reporting it was only 8 weeks. Not on
You've gone the whole season.
Doctor.
You've gone the whole season.
Straight away.
Unbelievable.
Our friends heard it first.
I think you wrote on Facebook, you heard it here first, and you actually right.
And that was correct.
Yeah, spot on.
I broke a story.
Well done. Last week we had the lookalike and a super coach super tip.
And it'll be back.
It'll be back, so stay tuned for right at the end. And if we do actually remember to do it, it'll be coming up right at the end. So stick around.
The super tip this week.
The super tip, Supercoach super tip. All right, let's get into it. Port Adelaide premiums. Well, as usual, we go through premiums. We've got none.
It's
but
Port
there's some
Adelaide,
verging on
nothing.
us. It's Port Adelaide at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Potential though, Boak, Robbie Gray and Hartlett. I've had Robbie Gray in my team the last couple of years, and I can't really afford to fit him in this year because he has been cheap the last couple of years, but he played every game last year and he's now a dual position player.
Yeah, that might make him attractive to some people because he's dual position.
Absolutely. Young guy, fairly fit, and will get plenty of the ball, so have a look at Robbie Gray as well. Not much value in the rest of the players, unfortunately, in those mid-priced players, but if you get onto
just hoping to win a couple of games.
Absolutely. Being down in the bottom of the ladder, though, they will give some rookies a go, and we've got Nathan Blee on the list, so definitely have a look at him. He's a 21-year-old defender, and also Chad Wingard, who was picked up as a midfielder in the draft and was a first-round pick. He was the 6th pick after those 5 first GWS picks, so definitely have a look at those 2 guys. Fantastic.
Righto, on to the Tides, Richmond. Will they make the 8 this year? That's the big question.
They'll finish 9th.
Well,
you heard that here first.
I would be surprised if they do. Now, they've got a few good premiums there, and these are the sort of guys you're going to want to stick in your team. Delidio and Newman from last year. Both can be used as defenders. Delidio can be used as midfielder this year. Both a couple of guys you really should be having in your team. And Trent Cotchin's another one. Averaged 101 last year, but I really expect him to explode this year. I reckon he's going to be a 110 plus midfielder this year. Another one you should really look at for one of your keepers in your midfield.
Here's one for you. Sorry to butt in.
Oh,
Nathan Foley, what are your thoughts?
Ooh,
Fairly popular last year.
I slipped him into my team last year, and he went okay. He averaged about 91, and he's going to be a 90 plus midfielder this year. He's a little bit less than a lot of other guys. You could do a lot worse.
Absolutely.
He really works hard and doesn't really give you too many bad games. So you definitely want to look at as a unique player.
Absolutely.
For your side.
Yeah, something different.
A couple of good potential ones at Richmond. Dustin Martin, everyone knows about him. Averaged 99 last year, but the key this year is that he's a midfielder / forward. The dual position is going to be critical this year, and Dustin Martin's going to average over 100, so he's someone you really should be looking at for your team.
Stick him in your forward line.
I reckon he's going to be a great value for a forward. And another one, Basher Hooley. New player at Richmond last year, averaged 89. He's that running defender. They look to get the ball in his hands a lot, and I think he's someone really to look at for your back line. He's going to push into that 90-point range as an average. There's a couple of good rookies or first-year players at Richmond this year. Brandon Ellis, he went okay in his first match in the NAB Cup the other night. He's a really good kick. He'll be looking to slot into their defence somewhere. They like good kicks down there, and Brandon Ellis is someone you should be looking at. Also, Stephen Morris. He's been recruited as a mature age player. He's in his early 20s, and he's going to get some game time in defence as well early, so he's another one you should be looking at as well.
Very good. All right, St Kilda. Here we go. The Saints, will it be their year? New coach, and plenty of guys going to get a go, maybe in some different positions, I'm not sure. The big question on everyone's lips is, do you put Rewald in your team? Well,
the big question on the lips is, can they keep their gear off?
Well, that's a good point too.
Keep it on.
Absolutely, and you heard that here first. And look out, Rewald, he's capped it again for another year, and he's not in my team, but at a good price. So here we go, premiums, plenty of them. Del Santo, Fisher, Goddard, McAvoy in the ruck. a little bit different there. I know you had him last year in your team, and gives that definite point of difference. And Lee Montagna, of course, straight to the engine room, getting plenty of kicks. Question with Del Santo, though, he's fairly expensive. Had a ripper year last year and will get plenty of the ball. He's a great kick. But with Hayes back, it may take away a few points, so we're not sure yet. So one to think about there. With a bit of value, of course, Lenny Hayes. A lot of talk on Facebook as well as about him in the low $400,000 mark. And geez, you could do a lot worse than him as well for that price. There'd be no one else around for that price. Averaged 103 in his last year. And previous 4 years was 104, 101, 119, and 103. And a bit of injury last year. Rewald, of course, adding a bit of value will probably make you some cash if you chuck him down the forward line, but very risky. And rookies, well, we've got Ahmed Saad. I think that's how you say it anyway.
Saad.
Like
and Saad, Wonder Saad.
There you go. And Bo Wilkes. So those guys are coming along fairly cheap. And
they're both mature age as well.
Yeah, so absolutely. We'll get game time. Absolutely. So that's the Saints.
Saad, Wonder Saad.
And hello if you're watching.
That's terrible. Righto, on to the Sydney Swans, team that's always up around the mark, so they've got a few good premiums in here. Adam Goods, he's a tried and true gun Supercoach player. He's going to give you good value. Josh Kennedy, he really emerged last year. He wins a lot of his own footy. He's going to give you good value in the midfield. Shane Mumford, one of the big stories from last year, really took a big step, averaged 113. Probably going to go up a bit more. This year. Fun enough, only averaged 12 possessions a game last year. It still averages 113. It's a lot of his 1% of work, which really gives you good points in Supercoach. So he's really good value in the ruck. And Ryan O'Keefe as well. Saw that plays in that forward midfield role. Averaged 103 last year, and he's going to give you another 100 points again.
He's a dual position player, not bad. What about Kieran Jack?
Kieran Jack, we had a bit of a down year last year, only averaged 81, so I reckon he's the sort of guy, he's a little tough little inside midfielder. Yep. I reckon he can average that 90 plus, so you might get him for a little bit of value there in your midfield, little Kieran Jack, I reckon he might be a good one. They've got a couple of good rookies. Someone they've recruited under the father-son rule, Tom Mitchell. He's almost as good a lock as a player that I've never seen play.
I'll tell you what, if you've got this book, and here it is again, it's popped up in a couple of episodes.
Check his averages.
Check his averages in the back of this book. I'll tell you what, you'll be straight in your team. Even if he's on the bench in the midfield, definitely good pick up.
I wouldn't know what he looked like if I walked past him on the street, but he might be in my team.
Could be me.
I don't think so.
Don't think so.
And the Irishman, Tommy Walsh, he was recruited in a trade in the off-season.
Yeah.
They've obviously recruiting for a reason. Sydney do pretty good with their trades. They always play it, and they always seem to play well. So he's going to slot in a role somewhere. So just watch him over pre-season. He's super cheap, and I'm pretty sure he's a dual forward forward defender, which is unusual. So if he's that, he's someone you should be watching the pre-season, see how he goes.
Settle down. Too much clapping.
There's still finished yet.
There's 2 teams to go. Just hang in there, and there's that super coach, super tip.
I think that's what they're waiting for.
That's what they're waiting for. Settle down, everyone. All right, here we go. West Coast. And by the way, Tommy Walsh from Swans, it was just mentioned, is only a forward. Yeah. Don't look at him as a dual position player, but get him in your team because he's cheap and he will play. West Coast premiums. Cox and Pritis, of course. Cox very popular last year. Potential gaff. Geez, he got a lot of games in the end, or full games anyway. But
it's a running machine.
Started on the bench a bit as a sub, but at the start of the season. But geez, he's a good player. So have a look at him to increase in value during the year, and it might be one to jump on a little bit later on. Nat Nui's going to have a ripper of a year if he can get over those injuries, but I think he's pretty much ready to go. He's ready to go. He'll have a ripper year, and Luke Shuey as well as another one to look at. Now these are sort of those. Shuey's like a mid-priced player, but boy, oh boy, you could do a lot worse at that.
He could get into that elite category.
Absolutely.
And they're the ones that you want to pick up. The ones that are not there, that you get a little bit cheaper, and then they get up into that.
He could be 550 grand next year. Exactly. So get on to him now if you've got that sort of cash left over and you want to pick up something like that. Kobe Stevens has had a rip and NAB Cup already. I think he's only played in a couple of games, but he's looking really good as a rookie type player to pick up there.
Third-year player, and he's super cheap.
And Garrick Whedon, 113 grand for your forward line. Have a look at him as well. Those 2 guys are showing they're pretty good players over the NAB Cup.
Well, there's a spot there where Mark LaCroix was in that forward line, and Whedon might just be able to slot in there, so keep an eye on him.
Absolutely.
Righto, on to the Western Bulldogs. Thanks for sticking around. We're on the last team. It's been a while, but we've got there. Now, the Doggies going to be interesting. New coach, Brendan McCartney, an extra long boy, another Ocean Grove boy like Mark Neal. But they have got a few good premiums, the Bulldogs, and I still think these guys will produce next year. Matthew Boyd, their captain, 116 point average last year. Here's a gun, get him in your team. As is Ryan Griffin, averaging 108, and I expect that to rise. I think he's going to get even better. He's still young, and I think his average, he could push up to that 115 plus, which is, if you get him, it might be a little bit of a bargain there. Daniel Cross as well, only averaged 96 last year. I think he can average more than that. So he might be someone who's just a little bit undervalued that you might want to look at. Now, this is a couple of really good value players that you might want to be looking at. Brian Lake, everyone knows he had a shocker last year. It's going to cost you 286 grand.
Is that all?
This year. Cheap as, and he could be a keeper that you might keep in your side all year at that price. Could be a bargain, but his NAB Cup's going to be the key. Is he over those injuries? We'll just have to wait and see. Another one that's sort of flown under the radar is Ryan Hargrave. 280 grand he's going to cost you. Played really well in the NAB Cup the other night, cross half back. I don't know if he's going to be a keeper. Get that 90 plus average, but I reckon he could get into the 80s, so he's going to be a good little cash cow.
Might make you 100 grand. You can downgrade him and bank some cash.
Exactly. I think his price could go up pretty quick because he's going to hit the ground running, and his average is going to go up really quick. So he's one to really watch. I think he's going to be a good one. A couple of rookies. Ace Cordy, he's been on the list for a few years. Had a bit of injury with Ben Hudson leaving the Bulldogs. He could be looking to take over that ruck role, and he's still pretty cheap. And Clay Smith, their first pick from the draft this year, he looked pretty good the other night. He's a tough little nut. He loves getting in there. If he plays, he's someone that I'd be getting on as well. Nice and cheap. Righto, that's the end of the 5th Supercoach Doctor episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for sticking around. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. If you get on there, you can either send us in a question, we might even put it on the show for you. If you've got any requests that you want to see on the show, any lookalikes, we'd love people to send in a lookalike because we're struggling to find any more. That'd be great. That was a bit of fun.
Do you want to share your lookalike? Chris got onto the computer the other night with the lookalikes thing on the internet, and it spat out a couple of guys who were lookalikes. Is it Henrik Larsson? Is
yeah, that wasn't that great. But
who was the other one?
It was Beyonce.
Beyonce, yeah, just the facial features come out as Beyonce. So, send them in, please, because I've had my turn.
Because you've got to get better than that. That was terrible.
All right, we're nearly finished. That's all the team's done now. It's time for our Supercoach Super Tip. And here it is. We had a guy last year in our league, and he started the year with $9 million on the field, and he had $1 million in the bank. What an idiot. What an idiot.
So that's what the tip is this week.
Tip is don't do that.
You've got to spend your money.
Spend your money. These players, particularly the premiums, are up in dollars this year, and even the first round draft picks cost a bit more. Don't try and save all the money. It's only going to cost you trades during the year. Just be sensible. Maybe have 50 or 100 grand in the bank left. Correct. Max, that's okay, because you can upgrade a player if they get injured and all that sort of stuff. But
spend your money.
Spend your trades wisely and spend your money wisely. Thanks for watching. That's episode 5.